You guys, it's Meet the Grabowskis. It's a great title for a movie, I think. I don't know. Be a good one. Be a good movie. Who would play Gary, though? Brad Pitt.
I don't know what to say now.
You guys, thanks so much for doing this. First question. This is the hardest one. How long have you been married? I told you.
43 years.
43 years. Let's give him a hand.
That's why I said that the Marriage Minute might not be a good name for this time here, 43 years. I don't know if I can do that in a minute.
Oh, my gosh. It is tough, right, to sort of like summarize, 43 years into like sound bites and share something with the church family in, 5 minutes or less that's like, man, what can we really say that is impactful? And some of the things that have helped you guys grow a healthy marriage. Give us a couple nuggets. What are some things that you think have promoted health and life in your marriage through these 43 years?
Pastor Dan said I could take more than 5 minutes.
Take it all. Take the whole service, Gary.
Okay, thank you. Marriage is not necessarily for the faint of heart. Marriage is not always easy. Just ask my wife. There was a guy named Adam, okay, and you've probably heard this story before, but not this version. But God came to Adam, and he said to him, Adam, I see you're lonely. He says, I'm going to give you a helpmate. I'm going to give you a woman. And Adam said, what's a woman? And God said, a woman is someone that will take care of your house. She'll clean your house. She'll do your cooking. She'll take care of your physical needs. And Adam said, wait a minute. What's this going to cost me? And God said, an arm and a leg. And Adam said, what can I get for a rib? So I just want to talk for a minute or two about commitment. Pastor Dan talked about this last week, and it's all I can think about when I think about marriage is commitment. When sometimes fuzzy feelings aren't always there, you need to be committed, okay? It's kind of like I enjoy golfing, all right? And I hit my driver off the tee, and, I can hit that ball 250, 260 into the woods. Right, John? John's golfed with me before.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So I thought I needed a new driver. So I was talking to somebody at church, older gentleman by the name of Bob. I don't see him here. But he said, Gary, go down to Prestwick, have a club made for yourself. So I went down to Prestwick, and a guy measured me and gave me a beautiful, shiny new club. And I took it out, and I hit that sucker at least 250, 260 straight into the woods. So I went home, and I told my son, Bill, I said, Bill, and he said, Dad, if you know Bill, you can understand this. And he said, you shouldn't have bought that club. And he said, they sell these oversized Big Bertha XZ21s, whatever they are. And I said, yeah, Billy knows what he's talking about. So I went into Dick's, and I looked at all the nice, shiny clubs, that were lined up. I said, oh, look at them, aren't they? Oh, they're beautiful. I said, I could hit that ball a mile with that club. So the guy comes over, he says, would you like to try it? I said, sure. So I went in the back room, and I started hitting them. And the guy says, how do you like it? And I'm thinking to myself, well, that back wall's only 15 yards away from me. How do I know where the ball's going to really end up? And, the Lord spoke to my heart. And he's, when you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit speaks to you in different ways. And he said something like this. It wasn't a burning bush, but he spoke to my heart, and he said, you don't need a new driver. You don't need to spend any more money on this game. You need to improve your game. And the same is true with our marriages, okay? The world will tell you prettier, better, you don't need to be committed anymore. They're lies. I'm going to say that up here, and Pastor Dan, you can come up and clean up any messes I make, okay? So they're lies. So I wanted to talk about commitment first, okay? Now the two things I'm supposed to talk about. Wendy and I come from different backgrounds, okay? I come from a background where we lost my dad in a very tragic accident when I was 3 years old. So my mom brought me up for a few years before stepdad stepped in. Wendy came from a family, brother, sister, perfect, and I like to call them the Waltons, good night, Jim Bob, and so we came in to our marriage from different points of view and different expectations. So I'm going to tell you, especially you new married couple or thinking about getting married, I know the other couples have already figured this out, you need to modify your expectations, okay? When we were first married, I kind of thought about how my mom used to do things. She used to iron every Wednesday morning for hours. She would even iron,
underwear, towels, everything you can imagine.
Okay, so, you've got to modify your expectations.
Really quickly.
My wife wasn't the greatest cook to start out, and I can remember the first thing she, 2 months into the marriage, she brings out a beautiful apple pie. I love apple pie. And she dropped it on the floor. And she just started crying. And, of course, I ate it.
Of course you did.
I did. Not all of it, but I ate most of it. Okay? So, you need guys, I gotta say girls, women, you need to modify your expectations, okay? Last thing is, what's the last thing? Where's my glasses? I knew what this was this morning. Okay, there's a book. It's called Love Languages, okay? And we've talked about this in our class before that we've helped teach. And in it are the things that your partner might enjoy. Okay? And they are words of affirmation, gifts, physical touch, quality time, acts of service. You need to find what is going to make your mate, her heart click. Okay? I think I said that right. Okay? You got to find out what is important to her. I know what it is with my wife. Okay? Every time I put my hands on her, that's very important for her. Okay? Last thing is don't get into stupid arguments. Don't get into stupid arguments. Because believe me, we have, and it's not worth it.
Terrific.
Okay, my turn. First thing, of course, is having a Christ-centered home. We all know that. We've all shared that. People that have been up here have shared that. And it's not, I don't say it just flippantly. It's the most important thing in a marriage and in a family is to have a Christ-centered home. And it's what the foundation and everything is built on. So that's the first thing that when I say. The commitment part that Gary covered is crucial. There's up times, there's down times, there's difficult times, there's just horrendous times that you can't figure out what's going on. That commitment needs to always be there to work things out and to talk things out. So my next thing is communication. We work hard on this continually. We fail at it continually, but we work on it continually. So it's something that I don't think that you should ever think that you can figure out or feel like you're going to be perfect at, because you're a man and you're a woman, and it's going to be confusing, and it's going to be different because you think about things differently. But communication is key, and trying really hard to understand each other and trying to think about how the other person thinks. How is he thinking about this? Not how am I thinking about this? And I was away last weekend, so I listened to Pastor Dan's message on my little iPods, which thank you for doing that, and for the Salted podcast, because they're very beneficial. But it's the same kind of thing that he was talking about, is the whole selfishness issue. I mean, we think about us. You know, you might like to think, oh, I don't think about myself all the time. I have a family, but we do. So just trying to put that aside and think about the way that your spouse is going to think about things. And one thing that's really important, I think, is to always speak positively about your spouse. If you can't say something positive about your spouse, don't say anything. Don't go to other people and talk about this issue and that issue and this issue and how frustrated you are. I don't care how good of a friend it is. I think that if you're in an abusive situation, that's completely different. I think certainly you need to go and talk to someone. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just your little basic things. Just work them out between yourselves and speak positively about your spouse. I love to brag about Gary. I mean, he took over the cooking when he retired, and I mean, he cooks, he shops, he does all that kind of stuff, and he loves it. I cooked because I had to. Gary cooks because he wants to, you know? Now, maybe he makes a mess that I have to help clean up, but hey, that's a great, trade-off for me. So, think about all those positive things about your spouse that you can share if you want to share some things. He was my best friend before we got married, and he's my best friend now. I went away last week, and I felt like my right arm was missing. I remember saying that when we had kids. That's my left arm. He was reminding me of that. That's your left arm. So, but I remember saying that when we had babies, that if you went somewhere the first time, you felt like part of you was missing. And that's how, we've been together for so long that, you really feel like part of you is missing. But I know there's that complete trust and commitment that I know that he is missing me just as much as I'm missing him, because you're so used to being with each other. And you need to find valuable things, especially in retirement. That's a whole different ballgame. If some of you are getting there, that's a whole different ballgame. I mean, you're at work every day. It's completely different than being at home with each other every day. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I want to be busy all the time. Gary wants one thing to do, and then he wants to veg and have his own time. And he told me that at the beginning. Those are things you need to talk about. It doesn't necessarily make it easy, because I still don't want to sit still for very long, but he does. He does a lot of things sometimes. I keep telling him he's over his commitment, when he does 3 or 4 things. But the other thing that I think we need to realize, and we talk about this with Rich, is that as you get older into your marriage, and even younger, when your kids are younger, your marriage has a direct relationship to your children and your children's marriages. You're grooming them and them watching you. Now, we've always been aware of that. We've always talked about it. We certainly haven't always been perfect, and our kids will testify to that. But we try very hard, even now with the grandchildren, to make sure that we're setting a good example for them of what a marriage should look like. And that it's not perfect. I mean, it's okay if they know that it's not perfect. They just need to know that we love each other and we're committed to each other, and, we just want them to be able to see that that's what God intended a marriage to be. So, anything else, John?
That was amazing. I mean, that's like 43 years of gold, like summarized in a little more than 5 minutes. But you guys nailed it. Thank you.